All right, we got the third section of uprights on, the front section. Took a couple days out of here. I was busy with other stuff, but getting close to done with this rack now. The rack itself is assembled. The rack itself is done. Right now I'm working on the accessories and things like that. So these are going to be the basically the weight tree. These are going to bolt into the sides and stick out. I'll actually show you here. See, I've got these long ones for the heavier weights at the bottom. I got these small ones for the change plates near the top. Basically, these are all 1/4 inch steel, so thick and heavy duty. But it's got one hole in there, and then you can just bolt it to these ones on the side and kind of place it wherever you want, space it out however you want. Technically, you can also put it on any upright you want. There's nothing proprietary about the way these are built. They're kind of universal in where they can go. I've also been working on these J-cups. So, pretty basic. You know, 3 inch by 1/4 inch steel plate. Got that pin in there. It's just like any J-cup, nothing special. Matching pair. I've got this this 45 reinforcement there at the bottom, just trying to make it as stout as possible. I probably quadruple welded. I'd weld once, and then I'd go through and weld each side of that weld, and then I'd do a real wide weld that tied all three of those together. So hopefully hopefully the metal itself would bend before the weld would ever start to give. That's the goal anyway. All right, my J-cups are in place. They seem to fit all right. I've also got these weight trees in place. Seems good. I've let this rack sit all assembled together like this for a few days. Might not make a difference, but in my mind it helps let things settle into the right position. Even though nothing fits strange, I get to look at it, I get to test things out, I get to hang things directly on it. In this case I brought my barbell up here and I actually tested out the rack, and I can't describe how sturdy this thing is. I mean, it's not even a millimeter of sway at all, and I'm not joking about that. I put the barbell on it and I slammed into the bar hard and drove my legs and acted like I was setting up for a big squat, and the rack stood as if it was cemented to the floor. I mean, it's no movement at all. It's unbelievably sturdy. But one of the J-cups, now that it's had a full day or two to cool off, in position on the rack, it actually tightened up just a little bit. That opening where it opens up and it grabs onto the rack, it closed up just enough. It still fits, but now it's snug rather than loose and predictable, which will cause a problem once I add paint to both the J-cup and to the rack. So what I'm doing now is I'm heating up the metal and then pounding it over a larger opening to help kind of force it to open a little bit more, and then I'll let it cool in that position so that when I take it back off, it's open. I already had to do that with this J-cup, work the tree. Now it fits perfect. So I'm heating up the steel now. Alright, I got all this disassembled into a few main sections, and I'm going to clean it. I'm going to sand it up, make sure all the slag, all the little bits and pieces of debris are off. Then I'm gonna go through some degreaser and clean it up. And then once it's been degreased and cleaned, I'm gonna start painting. I'm going with a real heavy duty epoxy enamel, the same like they would use on construction equipment. It won't last forever. It'll chip and scuff. I mean, paint always does. It's kind of the inherent part of paint, but it should be tougher than about anything else I could do for it. Oh, I forgot that before I can paint this stuff, I actually have to weld the feet onto the end of these uprights so they can be bolted to the floor. But that should be quick. I just gotta cut out the feet, drill the holes, and then tack them in place, and it should be done. These plates cut out, these are 15 centimeters long. Since this is 3-inch square tubing, that's the same as about 7.5 centimeters. So this is double the width of the tubing. The idea being that it'll completely cover the bottom of the tube, and then the exact same 3 inches will also be sticking out of the side, and then smack dab in the middle of that 3-inch section will be a hole to bolt it to the floor, to like anchor it to the floor or platform or whatever else. Plus having the feet sticking out also just gives it technically a little bit more lateral stability, even though I don't think it can possibly utilize any more lateral stability. This thing is stable. But this, I'm not going to use the mag drill, just using the drill press. Simple carbide bit. Oh, this isn't carbide. Just a simple drill bit on the drill press will make easy work of all this stuff. I don't have to go through all the trouble of setting with mag drill. But once these holes are drilled, I will tack the feet in place and everything will be ready to paint. Alright, so I've got the front welded straight across, the sides tacked in place. I'll actually set this down and show you here. So across the front all the way through here, but then the sides are just tacked in place. If I flip it over here, you can actually see it's clear across the back and the front, but the sides tacked in because there's really no reason to completely cap off the sides, and doing this to 6 different uprights would just be a lot of extra time and heat on the metal that's really not necessary. This keeps it exactly where it needs to be, looks good, easy to do, so I'd say that's job well done.